Ready when you are, dearie.
Okay. Hi, I'm Brandon Joe Rutten, here with Broadway United Methodist Church. We've done a lot of groundskeeping and updates to the landscaping, and I just wanted to share some of that with you. So, a lot of this was actually just kind of moved around. We have daylilies that kind of swoop around and is kind of finished with the hostas. From here over, all of it had been kind of shuffled around and moved around. They were placed very poorly when originally planted. In the back, they've kind of gone dormant now. Is actually going to be some Joe Pye weeds. Going to stand about 3-4 feet tall. Have kind of lavender lilac colored flowers. Big umbels, actually. It's going to be really attractive. So in the back here, we have a couple of the leatherleaf viburnums, which were just cut down. A lot of the shrubs you'll see around the property have just been cut down. They were about, I would say, cut down. I shouldn't say that. They've been, a number of the shrubs around the property you'll see have been given a hard prune. So the original leatherleaf viburnums were about 8-10 feet tall and about 6 feet wide. As you can see, they're already starting to bush back out. We have a yellow leaf or a yellow stem dogwood back here, which is going to get about 6 feet tall, 4 feet wide. There's also some ferns that have recently been planted in the back, as well as a couple hostas. In the foreground here, we have 3 dappled willows, which will get about 5-6 feet tall and wide at full maturity, but very easily will be able to be controlled with that shape. And in front here we have an American viburnum, Bailey compact, that's going to be about 5 feet tall, 5 feet wide, and have a nice red fall color. We have a couple open spots in here that things will eventually get planted in. Here we have a Tor birchleaf spirea, kind of planted amongst the annual impatiens, and a couple other random daylilies, hostas. We have a greenleaf coral bell in the front, as well as dragon's blood sedum. Over here, another Tor birchleaf spirea. Here's a mum. We've kind of ended up planting anything that kind of came our way, anything that was dropped off that mum showed up out of nowhere. We have a Nana willow, so it's actually going to have kind of red stems, get about 3 to 4 feet tall and wide, with a few Russian sage here, and a rose, or actually 3 roses that were moved from the other side of the stairwell, and a few of the Lysimachia. These will get about a foot tall or so, slightly spread, yellow flowers, Siberian iris here, and some of the variegated Solomon seal in the back, just to kind of present a little bit more of a background for the roses. We also in the corner have a few daffodils that have been planted, which should have popped their heads up next spring. We've used this variegated Solomon seal, which was pulled up from a large chunk at the front of the sign, the main sign for Broadway United Methodist Church. And we've kind of plugged them in order to kind of soften some of the corners, brighten up some of the dark corners. As this is an old building too, you'll see that we've kind of plugged in like this euonymus here. It's not going to climb the building. It might just also almost lean against the building, or if it climbs it about 3-4 feet is the highest it's going to get, and it doesn't attach very well. So, but those sorts of things we use in order to create a little bit of that sort of woodsy sort of charm, like things just kind of volunteered there. So it's kind of just a random sort of place. We have a little stand here of Canadian wild ginger, which should hopefully fill this sort of space in kind of nicely, and we'll be waiting in the years to come in order to figure out what will eventually come here. These hostas have been pulled out of different beds. So we've plugged in hostas here, here, on the corner over here. You'll see we have another Solomon seal in the back there. As well as another euonymus. This is a straight green versus the yellow variegation over here. Another one of the dwarf willows. Aside from, really, the reason why we picked these for these locations is because they were very affordable. So,
how affordable were they?
I suppose all of the shrubs come together. There were about 30 of them, maybe 25 of them. Each of them were originally from $30 to $45. All of them came to under $3. So,
so that's like $900 worth of shrubs.
Yeah.
If I did my math right.
Yeah. So
for $3.
Yeah. So
that's pretty economical.
Well, each one came down to $3, not total.
Okay.
So
I thought it was really good. So
there were
so 100% reduction, 1,000%. I don't know. Let's save the math for somebody else.
Yeah.
It was a good deal.
Yeah.
And you laughed and you loved it.
Yeah. So again, 3 to 4 feet tall and wide, kind of red stemming, silver type foliage. This is kind of going to fill this in, soften this. The silvery kind of blue color also adds a little bit of lightness to it, complementing kind of the foliage color of the dogwoods that we have above. Another variegated euonymus in the back here, because we have, in order to kind of replicate what we have going on. We have a yellow twig dogwood here. Yellow stems are going to really provide a lot of kind of all-season color. Again, 5-6 feet tall, 5 feet wide. So I guess there's a variegated oatgrass in the back that I actually just, because they kind of spread, they don't look that great, I just threw it there, and if it lives, it lives. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We've got lots more. So
it'll get watered well there.
Yeah, sure. Here's some hostas that we've kind of planted. We didn't finish the circle coming around this. I kind of planted them somewhat sporadically in order to give the illusion of a circle was once there. So it's kind of a naturalized effect. Here's some hostas over here that we've planted. There was just a line right here, and we planted all of these around here in order to create a circle around here. These were from Ann Chernish. She brought these in, as well as a few of the ones that were kind of used a little bit as kind of like specimen, sporadic over there. Those are from her. We planted another. This is actually the only original variegated euonymus that was climbing. And so this was planted, and then the one down in the far corner. Didn't really do anything with this. This was here. And we pulled back the ivy and pulled out a few hostas from here that are planted in another location. Oh, there's even still one left, just peeking through, and we can pull that another time. Oh, great. This guy. You tend to grow an eye for these sorts of things. You can tell when there's, what's where and what one of these things doesn't match. So we did create new edging all the way around the church. These are onions. These were wild. These are volunteers. They've just always kind of been there. I've even tried a herbicide in order to take them down. They died back a little bit, but they didn't actually quite die. So what I've done, we're going to go this way. Here's more of the variegated Solomon seal. There's a little daylily that we planted down here, and there's one on the other side of this front too that will just provide a little bit of interest. So I've added more onions here. There's a couple of groups of chives. Aside from kind of blocking off this walkway, since this um, Gomphrena, or no, Pyracantha is thorny. You don't want to walk past it too close. And then zebra grass, variegated zebra grass. If you need any zebra grass, I've got plenty of it. So,
Where did this come from?
From the vegetable garden. So I thought those might kind of complement each other. There's another daylily here that's just kind of peeking out. And then this is the location where we had originally gotten the variegated Solomon seal. There were big stands on both sides of this sign. So what we've done, we got some of the sort of silverleaf creeping junipers and Andromeda that we've plugged in here that will form a nice carpet, only getting about 12 inches high. We did plug in a couple of excuse me, variegated euonymus, yellow variegated euonymus, emerald gaiety, I believe is the cultivar. But and in doing so, in digging some of this, we found some of the daffodils, and those are what actually went up by the main entrance. And then the dappled willow in the back here. So the color of the foliage is going to kind of mimic or complement kind of the silvery in the foliage of the juniper. And it's going to also create a nice backdrop. There were hostas back here, and some of that euonymus. It was just so low. It wasn't really doing anything. And then since we took out this tree, there was a big oak tree here that had died and broken and taken down. And so, kind of in its place, we've taken 2 Schumann oaks, or 3 of them actually, and we've berated them, and staked that. So that should grow in quite nicely. There was a scarlet oak over here that would have been about that size. Died a couple years ago. There's now a willow oak in that location. So, but going off of the color of these Japanese maples, we carried the color around the corner to these Diablo 9 barks. So there were large yews in this space that were actually overcrowding. You could see in the discoloration of the pavement, the yews were grown out to here and to here easily, really hid the front door. So we've opened that up. The stumps will get ground down. Maybe for Christmas we'll spray paint them gold before we cut them out next year. But there we are, some Diablo 9 barks. These have the potential of getting 7-8 feet tall and 6 feet wide. But again, being so young, they'll be easily their shape maintained. So another in the corner we have a variegated Solomon seal. Again, I'm not sure that I like that there, but they can always be moved. Also in the back, behind the sign, is a little hosta. It really doesn't look like anything right now, but just to kind of, again, create that naturalized effect and a little bit more interest while those shrubs get going. We have again, a little peek here, the green euonymus that will kind of form a little sort of matte ground cover, slightly growing up the side for that sort of woodsy look. The rain garden, I haven't touched this. I've thrown in a few seeds of Asclepias tuberosa, the yellow or the orange butterfly flower, and then also a couple Siberian elms. So Siberian elm, and then some other seed bombs, wildflower seed bombs. But the 2 main things that I'm really looking forward to, one of my favorite trees, Siberian elm. There's 1. And 2. So, and these will get about 15 feet tall or so and about 10 feet wide. So they're kind of just a nice little ornamental tree with small leaves. I think they're adorable.
Where'd you get those?
I dug them. One was out of the abandoned building in the alley back here, and then the other one was out of the next door neighbor right across the street, his back alley.
So alley trees.
Alley trees, yeah. We have a few more hostas here. 1, 2, 3, one over here that we've pulled up from other locations around the church that were just kind of misplaced, trying to add a little bit of color. Ernie was the guy that actually planted those. He was doing a terrific job when he was with us. This was just a desert. There was nothing here. This pipe was up out of the ground. The pipe only is attached at both ends, so it can only go so far. So I buried it a little bit better, still keeping a good drainage grade, and pushed it back. The yellow dogwood will fill this space in without covering up the architecture, and then we'll plug in a few more things. This is just the beginning. But we've kind of reclaimed that space. Working on reclaiming some of this. At first I wasn't really sure if I liked the yew leaves down, but they're working out quite well as a mulch. A bright red color. Go over here. These are Euonymus elatus, or the burning bush, that have been cut down. We'll actually be holding a pruning workshop next spring that kind of, as these start growing out, addresses how to properly thin them out. We planted in the corner some more of that variegated Solomon seal. It's everywhere, but it's such a robust leaf. I really enjoy it. And they're white fragrant flowers. So we've planted an amber waves 9-bark here. So this is also to kind of carry the color of the red over. This is going to be a little bit more of kind of reds and yellows kind of foliage, but still also the same leaf shape as those. So it's kind of carrying it over while not being the same. This we've kind of reclaimed a little bit. These are forsythia, so spring yellow flowers that grow quite well. And so we put in a few of those Miscanthus variegatus, or Zebrinus, the zebra grass, back here in order to kind of compete a little bit with these. We have a few of the Lysimachia nummulera, the golden moneywort. We've received from Doug as a gift. So we have Doug S. That will just be an inch tall and grow like wildfire. I'm hoping once that really starts taking off, I'll be able to use that in other locations as well. Here we have Pieris, which is a lily of the valley shrub. This is going to be a perfect location for it. Kind of part shade, even moisture level, and also it's a little protected back here too, so without getting lost. The stems can be a little fragile. So this will have like red, yellow, kind of whitish and green foliage, dappled looking foliage with kind of a red and white flower, kind of a tassel type flower. And this will get about 4 feet tall, can get 5 feet tall, and about 2-3 feet wide. More burning bush.
And this is the main chapel entrance, right, for the street?
Yeah, sure is. So, all the rest of the trees and shrubs have been identified and are on just kind of a plant list, I guess. Burning bushes, more burning bushes. You can see a prime spot right here for something of interest. It's yet to be completed. Where we got all the zebra grass, you can see we have plenty more, was right here. This is where the one was. The other two will be coming out, making room for more vegetables. I'd really like to keep all of this as edible medicinals, So, and also that the grass is laying over on top of our flower beds. So that's kind of an issue I'd like to alleviate.
What's that?
Dill. Currently we have dill.
That's a lot of dill.
Yep.
Particularly for me who doesn't like dill.
Those are all volunteers. I mean, that's parsley. That's parsley.
Yeah. I know your trick.
So there's a little bit of cilantro in here as well. We have chives. We have pineapple sage, variegated, 2 different variegated sages. We have lemon balm over there. We have spearmint. We have thyme, oregano. And I think that's kind of all we have right now.
For our
Yeah, we
herb
should.
garden. And anybody else who wants to.
That's right. This is a bed we've just recently put in. Also, this is our rose garden, our newly planted rose garden. So we just dug out the sod, dug out the edges, and the edges tend to fill in a little bit with soil pretty naturally. So when initially done, it's probably more difficult to mow around, but as it grows in, it's much easier to separate that bed from grass space. So hopefully these will become labeled as time comes on. I do have pictures of the flowers. I was categorizing them as they were growing up here around the chiller. You'll see that. And then we'll... Oh, I'm just getting excited. The mint that we have in our vegetable garden, I'd like to actually put around this corner. I can't imagine that's an easy place to mow, and it'll be contained fairly well there, aside from it spreading out this way. But when the mower does come by, it'll keep it maintained. Plum trees.
So this is the
Pluots, actually.
west entrance, where the main entrance for Abada Dance Company.
Yes, west entrance.
And other artists on the 3rd floor. Just good, easy access.
Yep. This was all just grass with 2 daylilies just kind of stuck in the middle of the yard. So we've desodded, we've edged, and we've put in some new plants. The Nana Dwarf Blue Arctic Willow, 2 of those, and this is fairly symmetrical. It just wasn't really like deep enough without creating the whole thing a bed in order to create kind of that naturalized sort of look. So this one we kept symmetrical. Here you can really see the red stemming in the willow. It's really quite attractive. So the red stems with the blue foliage. Again, we use the blue foliage of the willows in combination with the junipers. I'm getting tongue-tied. As well as yucca. We have 2 different kinds of yucca here. We have the straight species, broadleaf. What is it, angustifolia or something like that.
Species?
This is this is the regular leaf, and this is the what?
You said straight species.
Yeah.
And I said this is the gay species.
Oh yes, and this is the gay species. It has a finer, no, and then this is a narrow leaf yucca.
Okay.
So the narrow leaf yucca is all in the back. You can see all of that, and then the wide leaf is in the front. 1 chunk there, here, there, and then a single guy here. Well, 2 of them there, I guess. So with the wide leaf in the front, and those are placed kind of as a naturalized look. There's another chives. We put chives everywhere. If we've got it, we don't turn plants away. So we'll find a home for it. Yeah, we'll find a home for it. So the chives also is going to still offer like the yucca type look, the blue-green, silver-green foliage, and it's going to provide little pink flowers. We have more of the lysimaki over here, which even get to have a little bit of a red tinge to their leaf. That'll fill that in nicely. And then here's the chiller where we've taken all the roses out. We've
And moved them over.
These are really good kind of side pieces. But then we've planted trumpet vine along the gates or along the fence here. one here, so that way it doesn't grow too quickly over to the actual gate that does get used from time to time. We have one in the center and two more over here. What those are going to do, they're going to climb up. They'll fill out fairly well, but then they're actually almost going to kind of crown the top of this fence, more so than almost creating like a screen. I'm kind of looking forward to that in order to kind of have this little footer of the daylilies back here. We've taken out a few other things in here and placed them other places, but and then this goldenrod, you know, as you can, you know, it's fall, so it's not the time to move it. We'll be moving those next spring into the rain garden. So, and ta-da! Here's some horsetail that was given to us. I didn't. This does spread. Can get 4 feet tall, 3 to 4 feet tall, or 2 to 4 really, depending on the conditions. And it spreads so much sporadically. So I thought this might be a good place for it because it's not ideal conditions where it's going to take off and be difficult to manage. Also, if it does take off, this is a good place to let it do that and maybe even just sort of fill this space in. So it's just kind of a space that's not really a focal point. It's kind of a transition section. So kind of the height of the trumpet vine coming into the sort of stand of horsetail is kind of interesting. Here we have some of the hostas that were, where did these ones come from?
And
I think the ones from Ann were over there. Those were planted first.
it'll come back to you.
Yeah, I forgot. We had, you know, these might even be the ones that just showed up one day. But alba marginata is what they are. And then we have one over here, which has kind of a more of a blue leaf, which will kind of complement the foliage in the burning bush. I can't talk anymore.
It's hard.
Yeah, so, but that one, I don't know the species. We'll wait until it gets going until we can really see what it's doing. We actually have a little zebra grass here too. So aside from this being sort of trials, this was actually from the plant where the starts came from over by the vegetable garden. Where so we have plenty of it. So when it was dropped off, we got put in the shade here just to heal it in, just to keep it alive, and it's actually doing all right. I kind of like that it's a little stunted, that it's not growing quite so aggressively. Here we have 3 more of those zebra grass that need homes. I think those are probably going to go to a neighbor. I don't like throwing anything away. And then I guess we have the last thing. Then we're kind of back to where we started. Oh, I didn't mention, actually, back to where we started. This guy on the corner here, so you can see actually really from this angle the swooping habit of the daylilies, and then the kind of continuance of the swoop with hostas. And we're going to create a little bit of a swoop on the other side, maybe with lamb's ear, something not these, just still creating the shape. But here we have Ligularia. I believe this is an Othello variety, so it's going to have a kind of an orangish daisy-like flower. And the foliage on that gets about 15, 18 inches tall, but it'll get 2.5 feet wide with those orange daisy-like flowers. The nice thing about, I like those in the hosta bed because they kind of look like hostas, but then when they bloom, they kind of like take the cake. The last thing that we've created, we've this bed over here, red twig dogwoods. So just to create a little bit more interest in the parking lot, we did find a few more daffodils, narcissus that we plugged in the corner here. There is an oak that we found on another part of the property right in the center. and then one little daylily. So over here, just because we have them, and they don't look like anything right now, but eventually it'll start to do all right. And I haven't pruned any of the shrubs or anything when putting them in, unless they were transplants and maybe needed to be taken back a little bit in order to reduce that transpiration, such as the roses. The roses were cut back pretty drastically. So,
was there anybody else involved in the project that you haven't mentioned?
Well, a number of the local people have brought plants by.
Mm-hmm.
People who have done some of the work, I guess, is mainly me. Bill Wood was the one who trimmed back the overgrown shrubs that were kind of hiding the building.
And you had your pruning workshop.
And I had a pruning workshop last spring, and there'll be one next spring. We could hold one this fall, but the plants aren't ready. So we'll want to wait and see where they want to bud out, and then kind of make our assessments from there.
So is there anything in closing that you want to say?
Let me know if you have any plant questions, or let us know if you have any homeless plants. So yeah, so if we still have more room, and then when we run out of room, we'll make more. So if that's you out there, and this is, and you don't have enough sun, and you don't have enough earth or water, you come on down to Broadway.
And what was your goal or intention in doing this work? What were you trying to create? What were you trying to do? Why was this important to you?
It was important to me because I could, coming here for the last 2 years or so, I could see the potential that this place had, and where some of the shrubs or perennials could just be moved, 2 feet, 3 feet over, and it'll like finish this line, or it'll look better there. So, and just the building, the building's so vibrant and exciting with lots of different characters and colors on the inside. I wanted the outside to kind of reflect that too. And so,
very cool. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
I love you.
I love you.